Welcome to another edition of A Little Perspective. This is Super Moms Month, and I am super excited to have a good friend of mine, a fellow advocate, and she has been an amazing supporter of mine, and she is such a powerhouse on the show today. Her name is Talamieka Brice. And I think that you guys are just going to have a real treat today hearing all about her journey and how she balances motherhood and entrepreneurship and advocacy and everything that she does. She is a busy, busy woman, and she is one of my favorite people. So thank you so much for being here, Talamieka. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a mom, but I'm the wife of a veteran and an artist and a really awesome guy. He's short though, but he's really awesome. And I am the mother of two children. My son's name is Honor. He's 6 years old. And my daughter is Love, and she's 3 years old. And my husband and I met in drawing class. So I'm a trained, fine artist. And it's kind of hard to talk about yourself, but I've won a bunch of awards. I'll just put like highlights, some of the highlights of my career. As an artist, the highlights of my career was doing the Barack Obama mural on side, the newly renamed from Jefferson Davis to Barack Obama Elementary School. My husband and I did that, and also being tweeted, having that mural retweeted by who is now the first Black / Asian Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. And also the flip side of the coin, in my advocate work, I am the founder of the Womanist Alliance, which is the Mississippi version of the Women's March. And also I led one of the protests against Donald Trump visiting the opening of the Civil Rights Museum. So there you have it. I think I'm probably leaving some stuff out. Right now I'm working on a documentary film detailing my journey. It's called Five, A Mother's Journey, detailing my journey of raising a beautiful little being that will grow into a Black man and how society will see them. So I guess I'm going to put a period right there. Probably missing some stuff.
No, you're definitely missing some stuff, but that's okay. You have done and are doing so much, and we met on Facebook. You're a friend of a friend, and I friended you because I saw the work you were doing, and we've since become real life friends, even though we haven't had the chance to meet yet, thanks COVID. But we will, and I'll get to hug your neck one day very soon. I chose you for one of my super moms because you put those babies first before everything, and most moms do. Most of us try to do that, but you are very intentional about that, and I think that is really inspiring, because it can be easy, especially when you are doing so much like yourself, to kind of back burner some things. So what is your favorite part about being a mom?
It's the little moments. There are the times that you absolutely want to pull your hair out, but it was yesterday morning. My son comes in the room and climbs into my lap and kind of like kneels on my chest, looks me in the face and said, "I love seeing your beautiful face in the morning." And then like with my daughter Love, sometimes when we get caught up, she likes to draw and paint, and let her tell it, I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to drawing and painting. No, you're supposed to put that here. No, mommy, you're not doing it right. So, after that critique, there are times when she comes and curls up next to me and says, "I love you," and gives me a kiss. Like, those are my moments, or the little things she said. Because we're best friends, right, Mom? Like that kind of stuff, like that. that helps. There are the times in the middle when no one eat their vegetables, nobody's picking the toys up out the floor.
They're fighting.
Yeah. Oh, they're hitting me. Yeah, it's those type of things. And don't kick your brother, like those conversations.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But those are the little moments.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
sometimes, like, even when I'm doing, and I don't have it behind me right now, but when I did the huge painting, it's 4 feet by 8 feet, which essentially is the poster for the documentary. How they came out and took interest in it, and how my son kind of laid into me and was like, "Mommy, you're like the best artist. How'd you get so good at art?" Like those little moments, because we can critique ourselves to death, but those little moments, because one thing about kids at this age, there's a lot of stuff that they just don't lie about, and
Mhm.
that you take those to heart, those beautiful truths, you take those to heart.
Mhm. Yeah, kids and drunk people, or toddlers and drunk people, they'll tell you the truth. For sure, for sure. I think it's important to take stock of the little moments, because the big ones can feel so overwhelming, and especially when there's real struggles, or just strife, and when you're tired. And so being able to really soak in those little moments, making yourself hyper aware of them, being grateful for them, can kind of help you push through some of those other times that aren't so pretty and great and lovely. So what would you say is the hardest part then of being a mom?
Honestly, today marks, I have had my children at home due to COVID for exactly a year today. Today is the official anniversary. Um, Really, I find the hardest part sometimes is being the adult, especially in the hard moments. Being the voice of reason. I found myself a lot of times, like, I am the parent, I am the adult, but I find myself a lot of times really intentionally making myself smaller and more vulnerable to my children. It's like, mommy doesn't know, especially with COVID. Nobody knows. Um, Mommy doesn't know. I don't know. I don't know where you're going back to school. It's just being that, and then figuring out. One thing I've learned from my kids is a lot of times when I put the "I don't know, what do you think" back into their arena, it's like they start to really formulate and come up with great ideas. Like, I didn't think of it this way, or we could figure out stuff together. It's like the "I don't know, but we could figure out this together." I found this year has taught me to be a lot more vulnerable in those places. That's the
Mm-hmm.
hardest part. And then protecting them from some things, because last year was a doozy. Um, it's like, within the documentary, one of the things that I did, one of the images that went viral was me burning the Trump hat for the movie. That's a part of the movie. But um, there was a lot of preparation in between to make sure that it burns correctly, you're using the right material, all this stuff. So my honor, the oldest, was like, "Mom, why are you burning the hat?" And then all of that. So we had to talk about art and what art means and purpose. And then George Floyd's murder and the uprisings, and did I mention Donald Trump, and the election, and it's just so much to try to protect them from. That's the hard part, because there should be some part of their life that's like innocent and carefree, but being the adult and shouldering all of that and finding a way, and some of the work that you and I have done together has really helped with that, with finding the me in there to make me a better mom, like taking a couple of minutes and doing my makeup, even if I'm just going to the living room or to take the trash out. Finding me in those places to exercise and then nurture myself and eat good food, all of that stuff. Um, but yeah, that's part of it, is it's keeping them safe in a very unsafe world, or as close as you can get to safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the social justice realm and things like that. It's when you have a passion for it, you're more sensitive to it, you're more aware of it. And raising brown boys is not easy. And trying to explain to them the situations of George Floyd and things like that without creating cynical, jaded children is very, very hard. But it's hard work that has to be done for sure. And I love
Right.
that you talk about vulnerability. I'm a big fan of vulnerability, and I've come to I had kind of an epiphany this week actually about raising kids and the differences in like our generation versus our parents' generation, and how, just like you said, how you will ask them, well, what do you think, and then have conversations, and instead of things being a dictatorship, things being more like a democratic kind of a situation, if we have to use politics as an analogy. And I have found that so much of our need to discipline comes from this feeling of being disrespected. and
Mm-hmm.
and these children aren't meaning disrespect to you because they're not behaving. That's not, we've been taught to interpret it that way, but that's false. And when you're able to be vulnerable, then you allow yourself to not feel disrespected because you're able to open up a little bit more and see they're human, I'm human, we're just trying to figure this out together, kind of a thing. So I love that you talked about that. So it's been a year, and granted, this is being recorded now, and it'll be aired in May, but it's been a year. 365 days. So how on earth do you balance homeschool and kids and wife and artist and advocate and filmmaker and
Some days are tougher than others. One of the things when it comes to the school with him doing virtual school is finding a balance in a sense. God, that's been such a journey. So I've found out, over 365 days that I pretty much have to put their stuff first. I'm mom and I answer emails and brief phone calls in between times. But somebody needs their juice, a blanket. Where's my pencil? That I just put on your desk for school? Like those type of moments and breathing through. And by the time my husband, who is an amazing, amazing support system and a pretty awesome little being, he's there when I'm like, look, I really need a break. Yesterday, he took the kids to Home Depot with him for like an hour. I got so much work done in that hour. It was so awesome. Just little things. Or a great friend of mine, is also great to have a support system. A friend of mine out of Texas, another Facebook friend, knew I was working on this project, and this was last year. I was about to turn 40. And she's like, you're kind of running on fumes, babe. So I'm going to treat you to a night in a hotel by yourself.
Aww.
And that was just so great. Like, I just really needed that time to not be responsible for anybody, to sleep, and to watch all the Supernatural and Law and Order SVU that I wanted. Like, I needed time. And also, there were drinks at the bar. Drinks were had. And enjoyed. So, having a great support system and then being open about what I need. Because sometimes I assume I have been bad about that. I assume my husband just knows, like, I need this, and I don't say it. So being open about what I need, even from my mom, sometimes like, hey, I don't need to talk about this right now. I'm not in a space where I can deal with this right now. Can we try something else? That has been very helpful. And right now, support is the main thing that we have, having good people in your life, because I started the pandemic with some friends that I don't have, and I picked up a ton of really good ones in the meantime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think whenever there's conversation about the last year, there's obviously a lot of struggle that went on, but I think most people can say that it was cleansing in a lot of ways and eye-opening in a lot of ways. You really saw a lot of truth about people, and that could be good or that could be not so good. But being able to see that is good. I love that you emphasize support, and being open to it, because you can have all the support in the world, but if you aren't using it, if you're not allowing people to help you, then you're not helping yourself. And
Right.
So what have you always been able to easily accept help, or is that something that you had to work on?
No, not at all. I had to work on that. So many things I didn't think I could do this year has taught me that I can. I had to, like, with the documentary, I can't film, direct, edit. I can't do all of that, and design. I can't do all of that. So I've had to have help, and thankfully I crowdsourced some with a GoFundMe, because making a film is not cheap. So I crowdsourced some with a GoFundMe, and that helped. And I had a few friends that lended some dollars as well, and that helped. And one of the guys that shot a lot of photo for me, and Rory Doyle, amazing photographer, who he shoots for The Guardian and the New York Times, and he's just awesome, and we've become really good friends through this. But he actually won a grant and then gave it to me to finish my documentary, to invest back into my documentary. I don't think I've said anything about that, but yeah, just wow, the amount of people that believe in this work, and then being authentic with myself. That's another part too. I cut my hair during this pandemic. I cut all my hair off during the pandemic, and I'm growing it back. I went natural. I had relaxed hair. I shaved it all off, and started over with a little afro that's bigger under these locks. This is a protective style. So much. I'm a better person actually for 2020.
Absolutely. I feel the same way too. Not without pain and strife, for sure, but absolutely through that a much better human, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned George Floyd, and your advocacy work goes back before all of that, long before all of that. I love that you were in charge of the womanist movement, and we're recording this in March, and it is Women's Month, and you are such a strong woman, female example and leader. And we talked a little bit about having some talks with your kids, but what how do they interpret? And I know Love is young, but how do they interpret the work that you do?
I don't think they really realize some of it. Mm-hmm. Like, my son has seen me on TV before, like advocating and at rallies and things like that. He's like, "Mom, that's you." But I don't think he really realizes what I do outside of the art. He knows Mommy's an artist. Mm-hmm. But some of the stuff, the Black Lives Matter protest and all of that, has really seeped in. And he's at a point right now where he's getting worried about some things. The other day, he was having a hard time, and we went to the store together to buy just something, and he got some magnetic putty. And on the way home, he's like, "Well, Mom, why do Black Americans have to fight for their rights?" And it's like, And I was like, well, some things, I let him lead the conversation. I said, some things aren't equal. He understands that he's Black, African American, because for a while he's like, Mommy, I'm brown, I'm not Black, and I don't want to be Black. And I was like, well, yes, our skin is brown, but some people categorize us as Black or African American, and this is why, a bit, explain it to those terms. And then he said, with this conversation, the one about people fighting for their rights, I was like, well, you know how everyone should have equal rights to equal things, and everyone should be able to do some of the same things. Like, yeah, he's like, well, we just want everyone to be able to have access to all the same things. And he's like, and then when that's done, we can stop fighting. It's like, well, yeah. And that was the end of the conversation. So I just kind of let him lead. I tried to protect him from Floyd, but he did get a bit of Trump in, like, why is he so mean? Why is he so unhappy? Why does he still want to be president? Like, those kind of questions. So I just talked about the importance of leadership and how it is to have good leaders to make good decisions for everyone in. So it's really day by day.
Yeah.
And letting them lead.
I think that's the important part, is letting them lead. It makes it easier, but it also helps it be digestible for them. And starting young is great, because then you can build on as it goes, and it's not some shock and to the system as to like, oh, this is real life, I thought this was real life.
Yeah.
I think that's important, for all kids, like not just in this particular instance, but I think this is obviously a particularly heavy instance, and more so important in this realm. So so you talked about Lovey telling you how to draw. So do you see her following steps?
Can you say it again? Uh-oh.
You talked to... Ooh, you good?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can. Yes. Good. All right. So you talked about Levy correcting you on how to draw. So do you see her following in your artist footsteps?
I do. And she's getting pretty good at it, actually. I thought Honor would, but like, she goes through paint. And I'm trying to keep her out of Mommy's good paint. She goes through paint like crazy. So it's about every 3 days I have to buy her a new batch of paint. Luckily, it's cheap stuff right now.
Until she figures it out and demands the good stuff. That's funny. Yeah, Aiden liked to draw, and she's kind of shy. She's kind of faded away from it. And Malika, she's really got a knack for it. Like I'm not artistic in that sense. Like that's not where my creativity lies. But I love seeing, I love encouraging that and seeing that. So I can't wait to see what she does, because she's a Spitfire already. So if she's going to be anything like her mama, oof.
Ooh, yeah. Watch out.
So tell us a little more about your documentary. I know you gave us a little brief, but what made you decide to do this? I know that it took a big step for you to step out of your comfort zone to do this. So, why did you decide to do this?
Well, I think it was 2019. I was a judge for a film competition, and the movies were good, but I didn't see anything that related to me, and I didn't see any really positive depictions of people that look like me, if there were any at all. So at the same time, Honor was 4 and about to turn 5. So I was thinking about, okay, now he's about to enter into kindergarten. and the school system and all the things about the school to prison pipeline. And I remember how I was taught about race, and I was 5. Also, I thought about one of the things when I really got into art, and one of the things that stands out to me is the Lascaux caves. You know, they were like the caves, the first ones where people drew like the animals and stuff, and then they put their hand up, like 5, like I matter, I was here, that type of thing. And I thought about that, and our history and legacy and life and the things we leave behind. That's what art is, essentially. If you want to learn anything about civilization, you look at the art. You look at the type of things that they build: pottery, ceramics, friezes on the wall. You know, and the written pieces, the written stories, like they are the scribes of the times. So I really wanted to make something that talked about his time here, my time here, and what it's like. Because, you know, we start with our babies. All of us can remember the first time we heard our child's heartbeat on that sonogram, you know. All of us can remember how they were little and gooey and just these little blips and balls, and your baby's as big as a blueberry, like all that type of stuff. And then they grow into these things, essentially, if they're part of a minority community. You know, if it whether it's someone as a little person or as someone in the LGBTQ community, like all of that, like they really just grow into these tales that aren't really representative of who they are, and how unfair that is, and how it's up to us, the adults in the room, to change the narrative. So with this documentary, when I was growing up, I experienced a lot of racism, like the Klan coming after my brother in 1988 and 1993. This wasn't the 50s and the 60s. So I went back to those places and documented, you know, what happened. And I talked about the feelings of that, you know, of raising a little baby who's going to grow into a Black man. So 5 touches on those different elements in history of land and places and people. But it's a story of just trying to be, you know, we all just want to be beings. We just want to be. We just want to be ourselves, and, you know, be able to have access to um, things like everyone else. Like I think we've talked about, I've worked, me being friends with you, I never really thought about the door handles when you go into places. How if you placed it just a little bit lower, it would give everyone access to it. And when I worked at the when I used to work for Methodist Rehabilitation Center as their graphic designer, and we dealt with spinal cord injury, traumatic brain injury, I never once thought about the handicap stall in the handicap bathroom. Like, if someone is already handicapped, why is that stall all the way at the end? So, you know, once you learn these things, we all have a bit of ignorance and a bit of privilege, even when it comes to the first time I photographed a same-sex couple. I went through the same routines that I would with a heterosexual couple, like, you know, hold hands, give each other kisses, and they're looking around to see who's coming. Like, I wasn't aware of it, you know, and that's my privilege that blinded me. But once you become aware, then you have a responsibility to advocate for that person in places that they may not go, or that they might not be able to.
Yes, that's that last sentence. Whoo, that last sentence. Once you are aware, you have a responsibility to advocate for them. You have to use your privilege. It's what you're supposed to do. It's what we're here to do. And you said earlier how, you know, COVID has shown us to find our support system, to rely on our community. And that's the meaning of life, like for us to connect and grow and help one another. So I can't wait for the documentary. I think it's going to be really eye-opening for a lot of people. I hope that those who may be hesitant to see it, take the step and do it, because with that kind of a thing, when you're ignorant, all of us have ignorances, like obviously nobody's perfect, and sometimes when you're unlearning things, it can be real uncomfortable, but that's again where the magic happens, just like any growth. So I really hope that people will give it a chance. Those who are hesitant because it's not their cup of tea or what have you will give it a chance, because I already know it's going to be huge. It's going to be really a game changer. So I'm proud of you for stepping out and doing that. I know it wasn't easy. You certainly picked a heck of a time to do it. I'm really grateful that you did, and I'm grateful for all the work that you've done. It's incredible, especially in this state. When you're in a state like Mississippi, it's exhausting, and just being in this state, much less being a voice in this state. And you are certainly that. You are a community leader for the state, and you do so much good. And I know that you get worn out, but you keep going. And I'm so grateful for what you do. And I'm grateful that you have a support system so that you don't burn out completely, because we need you. No pressure, but we need you. And I'm glad that you don't give up on our state, because a lot of people leave, and I don't blame them. I'm not faulting them. I can't, because there's just not a lot. Sometimes it can feel like there's a lack of hope here, but you continue to give me hope, and so I'm super grateful for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, ma'am, tell us how people can reach you. What is the best way for people to connect with you? You have a way with words and a way with art, and I want people to be able to engage with that in whatever ways that you prefer. So how can people reach out to you?
One source is my website, Talamieka, TALAMIEKA.com. And that has a bit more of my artwork and everything on it. It also has my handles on Facebook and Instagram, so that you can, and Twitter as well, so that you can keep up with me there. And I love to hear from y'all.
Okay, excellent. And we'll put that in the comments so that everybody can connect with you. Again, thank you for doing this conversation with me. Thank you for being my friend. And thank you for all you do in this state. And I cannot wait to hug you.
I know, right?
All right, lady. I love you to pieces. Have a wonderful day.
I love you too. Thank you as well. I've learned so much from you. Thank you for being vulnerable and open in the work that you're doing. Thank you for pushing us to be better, all of us, to think higher and rise higher than where we are. I just really appreciate you and your voice, and you matter so much. So your voice is just as important as mine, and I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. All right, y'all. Thank you guys for watching. Reach out to Talamieka, support her, encourage her, and I hope all of you have a wonderful day. I love you.
Oh, love you too.